hearing to order. And at this time, I would ask Megan to report that the meeting has been noticed.
Yep. Yes, the annual meeting has been posted in the Tri-County Press each of the last 2 weeks, on the 14th and the 21st.
Mr. Olson has posted the meeting, and the budget meeting was also posted.
Yep, they're posted at the same time.
All right. I would declare the meeting official, and I would direct the clerk to file the proof of publishing of the notice within the school district records. It appears to me that this meeting has been properly noticed, and I therefore declare this meeting open for business. The first item is to elect a permanent chairperson of the meeting. Do I have a motion for a chairperson?
I would move to elect Gary Andrews as chairperson.
Having said that, is there a second?
I will second.
Okay, thank you. So I will serve as the chairperson, and then we need to designate a clerk for the meeting. It looks like we've already done that, I guess, so there's no need to proceed further, so that we read and approve the minutes of the last annual meeting. And I assume that they're already
They're in here.
within this packet. And that annual meeting was on October 28th of 2019. If you haven't, you want to just peruse them for a moment. And then I would accept a motion to approve those last year annual meeting minutes.
I would move to approve the minutes of last year's annual meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. The treasurer's report, Chuck? Linda?
Come on, I'll repeat it. Okay, this is our tax levy history. In short, our mill rate, I guess I'll explain tax levy and mill rate here in a second. In 2017, after the referendum has passed, our Cuba City mill rate was at 1141. I'm looking at this line now, 1141. The next year it dropped down to 1114. Last year it was at 1106, and this year is at 1095. So that is the mill rate. Now, how we get to that is a little complicated with school finance, but I'll go through that. So we have a tax levy computation. The calculation of the levy begins with the completion of the revenue limit worksheet from DPI, which is used to determine the district's total revenue from two sources, state aid and local tax levy. The district's 2021 revenue limit is just over $7.3 million, of which $4.2 million is provided through state equalization aid, which makes up about 57%. And actually, Heather, when she goes through this, she has a pie chart that goes through the percentages too. The local levy is further reduced by another $151,000 additional dollars of state aid. So the remaining $3.1 million is determined by the operational general fund tax levy. Next, we calculate the tax levy dollars associated with approved referendum. This levy includes the principal and interest payments to be made in the calendar year of 2021. And the debt schedule for next year shows that we require a levy of $774,303. The last portion of the levy is used for our community recreation program. This fund is used to support educational and recreational programs for children and adults outside of the normal school day. Tax levy for this fund is around $58,000. So the total tax levy of $3,971,790 combines all three of these amounts. The school district distributes the approved tax levy to the municipalities according to the proportion of equalized value each municipality has in comparison to the total equalized value of the school district, which is why different municipalities will see a different school tax every year. It's not the same one whether you live in Dickeyville or Cuba City or in other municipalities. Each municipal treasurer distributes the levy amount to various residents based on assessed value of the property within that particular municipality. Equalized valuation plays a very important role in determining the school mill rate, which I described before. To calculate the school mill rate, the district provides the amount of the levy by the equalized value. Property owners may experience different fluctuation in the school portion of their tax levy or their levy due to changes in the value of their municipality or changes in their assessment. To determine the rate per thousand, we divide the total tax levy by the total equalized value, so 3.9 million divided by 362 million, to arrive at the mill rate of $10.95. And that's where we get the history levy at. And we just kind of have some comparison schools with Benton and Platteville, Potosi, Shelburne, Southwestern. Those are the schools that we share borders with to see about where their tax levies are. And you'll see some of them range from 9.61 all the way up to 12.38. And that was last year. We don't know this year's yet. So that's the mill rate and our tax levy. Any questions on any of those? Know that Heather's going to talk about revenue and expenditures here in her presentation too.
Hearing none, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. If there's no questions, then can we have a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
I'll make a motion to approve the treasury report.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Then we have the 1920 annual report and the 2021 proposed budget. Heather, would you go ahead?
The school district ended the 1920 fiscal year over budget by $81,000. The board approved the district to overspend by $80,000 for the purchase of the new elementary school boilers. To recap last year's revenue, the district budgeted for $150,000 in special ed supplemental aid. However, the district did not receive this revenue because we did not meet one of the three qualifications. The district did receive this revenue in the previous 2 years. On the expense side for last year, since staff and students weren't in the building for 2.5 months, the district had an opportunity to focus on parts of the building that needed attention. Several building and ground projects were completed in the spring and the summer. A few of those projects include the elementary school boiler, elementary school bridge, high school exterior doors, ceiling tiles were replaced, and we upgraded to LED light bulbs. On the debt side, since interest rates were low, we worked with our financial advisor to refinance our 2012 bond. This refinance will save taxpayers about $33,000 over the next 5 years. The district completed all projects relating to the last referendum, and we closed our referendum account. Looking at the 2021 budget, The district is projecting our total expenses to be about $12.8 million, which is a 1% increase over last year. The general fund, so the general fund revenues are appearing right here, and the general fund revenues we're projecting at $9.3 million, and our expenses are $9.5 million. The $178,000 shortfall is due to the following items: high school boiler replacement, high school HVAC upgrade, COVID-related expenses such as full-year interns to reduce class sizes at the elementary school, PPE, cleaning supplies, and disinfectant. Large ticket items like the high school boiler and the HVAC upgrade are not an every year expense, and the district, and those will last the district well into the future. These pie charts, which are in your packet and up here on the screen, show the sources of where we get our revenue from. We're projecting to receive $97,000 more in general aid, $16,000 less in interest revenue, and due to COVID-19, $19,000 less in activity revenue. Mr. Olson will be talking about declining enrollment, but if you've been watching the news, you would have heard that Wisconsin Public Schools are seeing a decrease of about 3% in enrollment. Our district is one of those schools with declining enrollment, so we will have about $246,000 added to our revenue limit for declining enrollment. This is a one-year non-recurring exemption. One board initiative has been to grow open enrollment, and in 2021, we are projecting our net open enrollment will increase by $182,000. Open enrollment can change from the fall estimate to the spring, so we will keep the school board updated. Any questions?
Hearing none, is there a motion to accept and approve the annual report?
I'll move to accept and approve the annual report.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Ready? Next, we'll have the budget hearing. Aaron?
Yep, the law requires that a budget hearing be held at the same time and place as the annual meeting. We now declare this meeting a budget hearing.
Megan?
Would anyone like to discuss the proposed budget? And are there any questions or comments someone would like to make? Hearing none, I think we can ask for a motion.
I will move to approve and adopt the resolution on the budget of $12,806,631.43.
Is there a second? The budget hearing is now closed.
New business, state of the district, Aaron.
Yep. Just kind of a recap of the year and kind of looking into this year. So the 2019-20 school year will go down in history books as a, I'll turn my microphone on here because people on the other end probably can't hear me as well. Okay, there we go, that's better. 2019-20 school year will go down in the history books as a watershed moment for all students, staff, families, and our community because of the COVID-19 virus. Although there were many great things that happened in our building prior to the March school shutdown, the year will be remembered by this global pandemic. In September of 2019, the administrative team, along with Ms. Tina Burkett, began looking into virtual learning as a way to continue education in case we had another year like the previous one, where we had a total of 9 inclement weather days. Our original plan was to do this over the course of 2 to 3 years in an attempt to not overburden the staff. However, Ms. Burkett was able to convince us that we can get this done quickly with little stress, and she even had a plan laid out to get it all ready by January with professional development, a one-to-one initiative in grades 6-12, and practice days built in throughout the year. We didn't know it yet, But Mrs. Burkett's plan gave us a head start when all Wisconsin school buildings were closed. Thank you. When the school closure first happened, we were all a bit caught off guard. Thankfully, we had the basics for virtual learning down, but that was meant for an isolated weather anomaly, not for weeks, and what eventually turned into months. Administratively, we made a conscious effort to make time on a regular basis to check in with staff to see how they were doing, not just with school, but with their family, how they were doing emotionally and mentally. Our staff adapted quickly, but it was not easy. Making a shift to full-time virtual learning is a process, it is not an event. I would compare this to waking up one day and trying to use your non-dominant hand to write with all day. It's going to take time and commitment to the process to be successful. And our students and staff did a wonderful job with that process. This summer was all about planning for the 2021 school year, with new guidelines, recommendations, and suggested documents coming out frequently, and not always with the same message. We struggled to come up with the best back-to-school plan, so we enlisted the help of our staff, students, parents, and community partners. We set aside time every afternoon in July to focus on a different aspect of the back-to-school plan, and took information from each of those meetings to come up with a back-to-school plan that we felt best fit our unique community. A big thank you goes out to everyone who participated in the development of that plan. We made a decision as an administrative team and the Board of Education to offer face-to-face 5 days a week instruction for our students, opposed to a hybrid or full virtual environment like many other schools offer. We were able to partner with Edmentum for those students who were looking for a full-time virtual option as well. This decision has led to hundreds of students who have been able to come to school 5 days a week for in-person instruction this year. Although there have been a few positive cases that have led to other students being quarantined as close contacts and one short-term elementary school shutdown, the results have been about what we expected. We're being told that it will likely get worse before it gets better, but we will continue to work with our county health departments to provide as safe as an educational environment as we can at Cuba City Schools. In other district news, our overall enrollment, total number of students in the desks, went up 2 students from last year, going from 650 to 652. However, we are a declining enrollment district as our community family members are having fewer children. As a state, in the past 5 years, the average school district is down 3%. In Cuba City, over the past 5 years, we have gone from 667, 681, 679 to 650 last year and 652 this year. So we're just under that 3% average. However, our open enrollment numbers continue to go up, as 5 years ago we had more students open enrolling out, while this year we have nearly 35 more students open enrolling in than open enrolling out. Our teachers continue to work on best practices in education, curriculum, and specific focus of differentiation this year, and that will be next year's as well. After school was closed for 6 months, reintroducing students back to the school environment took a bit more time than it normally does, but that's to be expected. In regards to staff initiatives, our big initiative changed from differentiation to providing time and resources for our staff. They're given more time on Friday afternoons to plan and prepare for teaching the students in the seats as well as the students on their screens, and that will continue throughout the foreseeable future. In closing, the past 7 months can be summed up with one word that we continue to use at Cuba City School District: understanding. We have to understand the troubles, the traumas, the inconveniences, and the losses that our students and staff have been forced to deal with. Our job as a school is to assist those under our roof with all those, along with teaching them the curriculum. The vast majority of our parents has been understanding, our community has been understanding, and our Board of Education has been understanding. And this might just be the trait that carries our community throughout this pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Olson. At this time, we have the readings of the resolutions. The first item is, at this time, does anyone want to make a motion to waive the full reading of the resolutions? They are posted in your packet. Like the first one here's on page 13 for the transportation.
I will move to waive the full readings of the resolutions.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passed.
The first one is the transportation resolution. Aaron?
The school district and the school board are compelled to transport all students living more than 2 miles from the schoolhouse in order to transport students living less than 2 miles from the schoolhouse to school immediately must annually authorize them.
Is there any need for discussion before adoption? Hearing none?
Is there a motion to adopt the resolution? Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
The next one is board salaries. Aaron?
The resolution being presented merely continues the practice of the previous years.
Is there any need for discussion before this adoption? Hearing none?
Is there a motion?
I'll move to adopt the resolution providing salary for school board members and certain other payments.
Is there a second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
School lunch program. Aaron?
The school district has a school lunch program. If a deficiency occurs, this requires authorization from the meeting to pay the deficiency.
Is there any need for discussion before this is adopted? Hearing none?
Would somebody move?
I'll move to adopt the resolution providing school lunch program.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Resolution as to textbooks. Mr. Olson?
Authority to provide free textbooks should come from the annual meeting. The resolution provides for some exceptions.
Is there any need for discussion? Hearing none?
Somebody move, please.
I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution providing textbooks.
Is there a second?
I will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed.
Tax levy. Mr. Olson?
The budget provides for a tax levy of $3,971,790.
Would anyone like to discuss the proposed tax levy? And are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll ask for a motion, please.
I'll move to approve and adopt the resolution on the tax levy of $3,971,790.
Is there a second?
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed.
Declaration of the annual meeting date. Mr. Olson?
Future annual meetings of the school district shall be held on a date and time to be established each year by the school board of the district. We are proposing Monday, October 25th, 2021 at 6:00 p.m.
Are there any questions or comments at this time? Hearing none, would someone please make a motion?
I'll make a motion that the annual meeting be date Monday, October 2021.
Is there a second for that?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passed.
Then completion of this meeting, Mr. Olson?
This concludes the business of our meeting. Is there any business to be elected or prepared to come before the meeting?
If there are no issues or if issues have been discussed and are completed, is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll move to adjourn.
Is there a second for that?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So we gotta wait 5 minutes, then we can have the